Hey guys, we're live. It's Natty B, Naughty Night TV. Thanks for joining us. 20 episodes. I'm here with Mark. He's a secretary. I hope you don't mind me saying that, Mark, but that's what he is. That's his title of the Barmy Army. He's a main focal point in the committee. You know, he's all this, what we're doing, wouldn't be possible without someone like Mark. And, you know, people see me and say, Natalie, Barmy Army, Barmy Army. No. It's people like Mark, Deborah, Shane, Dave, you know, etc. Matt, who's doing little bits, Fiona, who was on the Barmy Army podcast yesterday. You know, people who are going to jump in the car now, hopefully. It's all about you guys making moves. So just want to say thanks, Mark, for coming on, and thanks for everything.
You're welcome. Glad I can help in any way.
Yeah. How are you doing? How are you, John? You all right?
Hi, John.
How are you doing, Mark?
Yeah, I'm all right. It's been a bit of a up and down week, but now I'm on the other side of it now, so I'm all good. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, definitely. And that's, I mean, we've not had football for a while, so really, in my opinion, this is now scraping the barrel. I've done little things, you know, we've done the dev chat, we've done the transfer chat, we've done Lone FC chat even, you know, rival chat with a City fan. And this is just quiz night was last night on the Barmy Army TV, you know, go and check that out, guys. You know, but this is now just the basic for me. Not sure what you guys think. You know, obviously the more people are joining, I can see. But you know, top 5 games. I could have done 10. I could have done this. I could have done 3. But I think 5 is a nice solid number.
It's a great number.
Oh yeah, survey, and everyone should be getting their survey results through. So you know, I want to thank everyone for joining in that. More people are joining now. Let's get started. There's 3 that me and Mark agree on, and I've seen comments, you know, on Twitter and stuff, and you know, guys, jump in the comments and tell me if you think this is one of your top 3. So I'm going to be shouting out people because they've sent in comments, so you know, you'll know if I agree with you or if Mark agrees with you, because there's 2 we don't agree on. It's football, not everyone agrees. But John Foster, you're all right. I'm going to start off with the first one we agree on, Mark, which is, I'm going to go this one, actually. I'm going to switch it around. Liverpool this season. It was a great game, Mark. And obviously,
yeah. Historically, obviously, Liverpool is our bigger rivals. So anytime you get to play Liverpool, it's always a great atmosphere. The atmosphere at LSV that day, I thought, was brilliant. But the game was more significant because we hadn't got a point. We hadn't scored a goal. So it was a bigger game. It was bigger than the rivalry for me. And whenever you can get over Liverpool, you always take your chance. And out of the first 3 games, you know, obviously we had City away, Arsenal at home, and then Liverpool. You looked at those, you thought, well, if you can get anything from the City-Arsenal game, we'll take it. But Liverpool is the one that you go, that's 3 points. That has to be 3 points. And I thought as a group of fans on the day, I thought we were as good as we've ever been. We were passionate. We had to hold some of the passion back because what we do at Old Trafford, we can't do at the women's game. But we just gave Liverpool, and no, it was brilliant.
Yeah, Liverpool is, I think that was the game I was waiting from. The minute we got promoted, that's the game I was thinking about. Liverpool is the biggest game. Hiya, Heather. Hiya, Deborah. You know, ask questions. This is what it's for, Heather. So, you know, what we are talking about, our top 5 games. But yeah, Liverpool, since that Villa game when we won and we got promoted, and that was a brilliant game. And I'm sure, you know, people say that Villa game was one of theirs. Getting promoted was massive. And, you know, winning that trophy, and we'll go on to all that. But, you know, Liverpool is the one I've waited for from the start. From when I missed the first Liverpool one, you know, even beating Liverpool then was a good game. And, you know, people have that on their top list. JB has that as her top, you know, the very first. But I think, like you said, the one that made it a bit more significant was the fact that we were going in with no points, and it's about making a mark. We're here in the Super League, and us as fans making that mark as the Barmy Army, and we don't like Liverpool. Manchester United and Liverpool is a rivalry that sets all rivalry. It's the biggest rivalry in the Super League for me. It's the biggest rivalry in the Premier League for me. So.
Absolutely, and it's that one question that I think divides majority of fans. Which is the bigger game? Is it the Liverpool game or is it the Manchester Derby game? Which is, and it divides fans, because I have friends who say, I live in Manchester, beating City is more important than beating, Liverpool. But then you have a majority of the other fans go, no, we've got to beat Liverpool. City are miles behind us in the trophy hall race. Liverpool are close. We've got to beat Liverpool, and it's those games that give it that little bit of edge. And let's not forget that running into that game, Vicky Jepson came out in the press and she said some stuff, and we gave a little bit back, but she took it with a bit of grace. And no, Liverpool, it's the rivalry, the banter between the fans. And personally, I was upset we couldn't get down to Prenton Park to play.
100%.
Because I think because we had our own designated away end there. So I think that would have been even better. I remember leading up to the game, we were just going, I can't wait, we get the away end. And when we got the news, when we're having an away end, we just bounced all over the place. It was, I would have loved it.
For me, no matter, even though, like, for example, you talked about in the men's game, City are behind us, so obviously always beating Liverpool. But I think growing up, I'm a 90s kid. I was born in 92. Sorry, everyone, but I was born in 92. Must have started watching about 94, 97. Around that time, I was about 4 or 5, started watching it, and that's the feeling I got. It was Liverpool. You hated Liverpool the most. Yes, City probably weren't even a rival, but it was just Liverpool. Even then, Liverpool weren't even majorly competing. It was, Arsenal were competing with us, but it was still Liverpool. That's the vibe I got, and for me, that's carried through to the women. Even though City are probably more, if you're going to say title rivals, that we're closer to them. We're, that we're aspiring really, and not in a David Moyes way, but they're where we want to be. They're sitting top, we're sitting fourth. So if in competition, Liverpool women are at the bottom of the table, we're not even thinking about that. We're thinking upwards and catching teams like City, Arsenal, Chelsea. So, but for me, it's always about beating Liverpool. And like you said, I think Vicky, made it even that. I mean, we were thinking this is going to be 3 points, but I think by saying what she said, disrespectful this and no one, and I just thought there was no need for any of that. But obviously, she's done it for a reaction. I even said after that game, listen, there's no need for this and that, but don't think that this is some kind of nicey, we're all friends, let's hold hands together and walk on the pitch and clap each other. No, because it's Liverpool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember going to games. I remember going to Old Trafford in '99 when we beat them in the last minute of the FA Cup in Old Trafford. We've beaten City, weren't even in the Premier League. It's about, if City aren't around, it's about beating Liverpool, whether that be in the 18s, the reserves, the first team, whatever team. If you can beat Liverpool, you beat them. And as a United fan, there is no better feeling than beating them, because it's ingrained in us to not like them. I have friends, and I have friends who live in Manchester who are Liverpool fans. But for 90 minutes, I couldn't care less. They're not my friend anymore. After the game, I'll talk to them. But for 90 minutes, nah, Liverpool, no chance.
And I just want to talk as well about that goal. That Lauren goal. I mean, for me, I've watched it back since, sort of the whole game, little bits of highlights, and I think we were dominating them all over. I think they were lucky to go in 0-0.
Yeah.
But I think that's the case of us not being clinical, and I'm not even going to get onto that. But it really stepped up for me that game when Amy came on and she made that tackle in the middle of the park, and the whole place lifted, and then it was just driving.
I've watched the game back. I've watched the whole game back, and like you said, they were lucky to go in at 0-0 at half time. If we could have scored, but that tackle from Amy Turner, the commentator, you can hear the commentator talking, and Amy makes that tackle, and you can hear the boom when that ball gets taken away from her. And I mean, Amy Turner's up there as one of my favourite players for the women's team because she gives you everything on the pitch. And that tackle, it then just stepped us up into another gear. And yeah, absolutely, that tackle. I still remember the sound now it made when she made contact.
It's good. And then, Jess, there was attacking, there was left, there was right, there was Hayley pushing, and Lauren got that ball. Jess played it back to her in the middle, and we'd missed a few chances in the other few games, and I think when she cut back onto her foot, I thought she missed the chance. And then John Foster's just said it, the raw. I hear it now, even on a little highlight, and I get goosebumps.
Yeah.
And people say, how can you get it up 2,000, 3,000 people? No, man, you have to be in it. And that raw. How did you feel when it went in, that first goal?
I think there was a bit of frustration in me because I think we should have been up before that. I didn't think Liverpool offered anything really. I think they came probably for if they could get away with a point, they thought they'll do well. And we deserved that goal. And the whole build up to the goal, it was brilliant team play. It was really good team play, and the passing was snappy, and it was to the players. There was no we're gonna take it, pass it back, and then it was direct football. And sometimes direct football is the way you play. You don't have to pass it 90 times. Get it forward, get it in the box, score your goal, and that's what we did. Yeah. And LJ, the way she moved around in the box before she hit it, brilliant.
Different class.
Oh yeah, completely.
And like I said, I thought she wasn't going to score it. When she cut back, I thought, why are you wasting it? And then boom. And then obviously it was Katie Zellum stepped up, penalty, 2-0. When that went in, when we were awarded it, it was deserved. I think from us scoring, it was only one way. And then obviously, Leah was doing bits like she's been doing, and then bang, 2-0.
I mean,
and I was nervous because obviously, 1-0. John's saying here, there's always been a rivalry since he can remember, 1968.
Yeah.
That's how much Liverpool beating them means to people, to me, to you, to John, to both Johns.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, when she finished it, it was good.
Yeah, I mean, Zell's been, she's not been as prolific as she has been last season. Her role's changed, but from the penalty spot, you've got no fear that she's always going to put, 9 times out of 10 she'll put it away. I mean, every player will eventually miss a penalty. But that goal, I mean, Leah Galton, I mean, you can't really say how good she really is because she's her and LJ on the day, they were unplayable. They really were. And 1-0, it would have, if the game would have finished 1-0, it would have flattered Liverpool.
Yeah.
2-0 didn't flatter us enough, I don't think. And no, it was beating Liverpool. Whatever you do, you can beat them, you'll take it. And the tackle was a lazy tackle as well. And I remember watching it coming when I got home, and you're looking at the defence, she's like, what? I got the ball. And you're like, you were nowhere near the ball. The player went first. And, typical Liverpool.
Yeah. I mean, just all the scenes at the end, all the girls just like beating them. They all came out and said, beating them. Oh, the songs. Oh, stick,
Yeah, I mean,
Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, considering some of them have played for Liverpool and they've crossed the divide. I know it's different in the women's game. I know a lot of players do cross from team to team. And it's something that I've not really seen in the men's game, crossing Liverpool to United.
Yeah.
But when you have players coming in saying we're going to beat them, we're going to do it because we're Manchester United, you're like, yes, that's what you want. You want that. You want that. There may be I know they're all really friendly, the girls with Liverpool players and that. But for 90 minutes, friendships can just get put on hold. There's nothing more important than that game. And, we were at LSV and we were there as the players were coming in, and they're usually coming smiling and happy to sign or whatever they can do for fans. I remember they just came in on laser focused and game faces already on because I think they knew how big important the game was.
Definitely. And I think games like that, City, Liverpool, it's not about, hi, but no, it's about, well, let's focus on the game. Players come in, there's no messing, a game like that.
Yeah.
But let's go on to the second one that we agree on.
Okay.
Everton, big game, but not the ones recent. I mean, God, there's so many Everton games we can pick. It is though the 3-0, the very, very, very first Everton game, in the County Cup. And for me, this game, I picked this as mine because Willie had left. They were amping it up. Listen, it's got to be this. We've got to do this. The fans, need to be loud. We need to sing songs and we need to get behind them. And this is our first game against the Super League team. And we've just been beaten to Durham. So to come out and put in one of the best performances I thought last season, I mean, 3-0, to be honest, if you do watch that game back, guys, flatters Everton, in my opinion. We could have had 4 or 5 easily. We could have had 5 in the first half. I mean, second half, they came onto us, Mark, but still, there was chances. Molly could have scored at the end. He could have made it 4-2 and he could have scored. But even the scenes after the girls, they could tell how much it meant to them. It was the one before Christmas break and, they were over the moon beating Everton and I think probably beating him as well. But why do you pick this one, Mark?
I think some of you said most of the reasons. I think you're spot on with most of them. The loss to Durham on the Sunday, for me, that had a huge part. Willie Kirk was just named Everton manager. There was a bit there. And our record against WSL teams up to that point, we beat Liverpool 1-0. We lost to Reading in the Country Cup. So, and no disrespect to either of those two teams, but Everton were the supposedly better team. And we went there, and like you said, we could have had more goals. But the thing that I loved about that game was it was a cold Thursday night. It was freezing, and we all went down to Southport, and we arrived, and they said, if you want to go into this terrace at the far end of the ground, you can do. And I remember on the Sunday when we were all at Durham, you left and you went, I need a terrace. We need a terrace. We need to have a terrace. I can't do it without a terrace. And we arrived and said we could have a terrace, and we're all there putting up the flags. And then from the far end of the pitch, we just hear you arrive with Ben. And you're like, a terrace! And you just ran. And there was about 15 of us in this terrace. And there was a photograph taken of all of us in this terrace. And we made an absolute belting noise that night. We were brilliant. Leah Goldson scored her first goal for the club that night. But the one moment that stands out for me was Amy Turner from, I don't know, she tried to chip the goalie, and you just there go, it's not go, because at one point you swear it's going in, and it just doesn't. And you're like,
that's one of the.
Yeah.
I mean, Deborah, all right. She agrees with Everton. She tweeted me, "Hiya, Dave. Matt Johnson agrees with Everton, and Blessings, he agrees that this Everton game 3-0.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just magic.
It was magic, but in context of that week, we lost to Durham, which we've talked about in loads. But I remember as we left Durham, some of the players came up to you and they said certain things about about Willie Kirkin on the Thursday night. And we got to Southport. I mean, I remember meeting Dave. I mean, Dave was there, but he wasn't. I don't know if Dave was with us in the terrace. I think he was in. I think at that point he was in the seats, and we all met up outside, and we made a brilliant little atmosphere that night. And I was upset we didn't get more than the 3. I'll be honest, because I walked out on the way home. On the way home, I was like, Everton, they're supposed to be really good, but we've made them look really normal. And it was just a great game. It was an important game as well. To bounce back after a loss is really important, and to do it in the style we did it, you can't really ask for much.
And I think to do it against Super League, since as we were Championship, we'd only been together, since June, 6 months, if that. I think, like you were saying, sort of about the you were definitely saying about the atmosphere, and about when I remember Ben picked me up from my work and we went down, and I remember you guys saying, we're already here, we've done this, we've done that, and I was like, oh, Sugar, we're late, and we went and picked up a thing, and I was shouting from outside, and I remember walking in, shouted United, and everyone just turned and was like, oh crap.
I remember I was stood with Ref. I stood with Ian, and we were putting up, because we didn't have the flags we have now. We only had a few, and I remember Ian and we were getting. I think we were getting one of the flags out. I can't remember which one it was. And Ian turned and went, "Nat's here," and we could just hear you walking in, and it was great. It was great. It was just a brilliant. The game was great. Let's not say, the game was great. But
the game was great.
What we created as a small group of 15 or 16 people, whatever there was, it was great. I loved it.
I mean, I know we missed, and we think that there should have been more goals. Whether one, I can't remember which one got disallowed.
Yeah, I'll be interested.
Whether there was one, the other end, Molly should have maybe scored, and like I say, Tooney should have scored. Maybe it was the other end they scored, but the fact that they were all scored our end, and it was LJ's header, boom, Leah's header, boom, that Amy Cross, boom, then Dylan, it was just all that end. And I remember that little the minute Everton started attacking our end, and Millie Turner was heading away, and I remember there was that little scuffle between Jess and Gabby George. It all kicked off, and we were like, "You wish you were red, Gabby. You've lost your chance and all this. Leave our players alone." And but I think we potentially intimidated Everton, because we were right behind that goal where all the goals were scored. And I'm not saying, obviously the girls are professional, they'll do no matter, all girls are professional, but I feel like sometimes when we are behind a goal they're attacking, you see a little extra 10%, 20%.
At the end of the game, I've never seen the girls as pumped as that. I mean, I think every one of us either got a fist bump, a high five, or a hug from almost every player. But one of the bits I remember was we were Shiv was in the goal behind us for the second half, and the ball came over, and I remember Deborah shouting at the ball boy, "Don't throw it in, kill it off!" And it was a great game.
It was a great game. It was, just everything. I mean, that's what a lot of these games for me, guys, are going to be about. It's going to be about not just the game and winning and this and that. It's going to be about the whole experience of it. So that's why we're on to the third one. And don't think, send in question, guys. I saw questions before, and we'll get onto them later. Definitely, I think Heather sent something that's separate. But
Yeah.
I just want to dive and we could maybe add a few things on later. But the third game, people are not gonna. If they were there, Mark, it's easy. I think even when we said it, people are like, why? They don't understand. But game because of this. And it's Arsenal away from me. And it's one that we agree on. We've said it all season that this is the best away game. Just everything, I think, as well. The build up, meeting up. Me, you and Dave met up, didn't we? Did Ben meet up as well?
Ben was with us.
Ben was with us.
Ben was with us.
Yeah,
Dave.
we all met up.
Yeah, we met for
Ben was it?
And then on the train, Han got on the train as well with us. And then on the way home, Deb was supposed to be on the same train. Not Deb Hamilton, sorry. She was supposed to be on the train down with us, but she couldn't get out of work. She got a later train, and she got the train back with us. But we met up at Wetherspoons.
Yeah. Did Ben meet up at Wetherspoons? I can't remember.
Yeah, no, Ben met us there. Ben was.
All right.
Yeah, no, Ben was there. We got the train down. Yeah. The reason I've chosen.
Breakfast.
We had breakfast, and then we got on the train, and yeah, it was.
The reason why you chose it.
The reason I chose it, I think, I think I agree with you. Unless you were there, you won't realise how good of the game. I don't think was great, but for me, I chose it purely for the away end. It was the closest to a proper away end that I've known in the women's game, with the exception of City at the Etihad this year. It was full of reds, the away end. There was singing for 90 minutes. I mean, Dave and I have always talked about the away end as being the best away end. Arsenal were the better team on the night. Molly scored with 7 to go. But I think it was just the whole, everything about it. I mean, we were giving aggro getting into Boreham Wood, and we hadn't even got in yet. We were at the gates pounding to let us in.
For me, that was the reason why I've chose it is because it was an away day. It was an away day, like you know it. Like you said, we met up at 10 o'clock, got on the train, all went down, had cans on the train. I mean, like you say, just before we went into Boreham Wood, we were at McDonald's. We were causing absolute murders. We were just like, get me some scram. I remember Casey Stoney's face popped up and we all started singing, and, it was the best. And I mean, I know you're talking about City. That was an actual away end. But even then, I'd say the fact that the things with the City away end, and I'm going into technicals here, that didn't really work out is that
I agree.
There was some people here, and then there was other people scattered around singing. Whereas in a real away end, there's no seat. You don't sit in a seat.
No.
And this is what, if we do have more away ends, like Liverpool, I reckon it would have been, like we just said, it would have been an absolute. I reckon that would have topped, because that would have been an away end. That's what they've actually given us, the away end. You would have just rocked up and just gone where you wanted. But the thing what's let City down is, I feel like people just came so there wasn't like that separation into, and I mean, it's not, thanks Lee, thanks for saying, but it's not, it's not on United to do that. It's on, I suppose, a culture to come where people realise how much sort of volume, singing, that kind of thing means so much for the girls, because when Molly scored, oh my God, that place erupted. And even Molly says it, like she said it on a little Instagram live. She said listen, the way the fans were so close to that, we could hear every single thing. And the minute she scored, and everyone went flying, and I just remember, I can see it. I can just see Ben's this and sunglasses and that, and then and everyone rushed forward, and we were on top of them. They couldn't cope.
No.
The minute he scored, and they're lucky it was only 10 minutes. It was straight away, boom, it would have gone off.
Oh, I agree. To coin a phrase, it was when we scored, it was pure limbs. People were flying. At one point, someone's nearly over onto the pitch. I can't remember who it was. Someone was at the front, and everyone just piled full. Oh, it was brilliant. I think, Dave said it in his. It was the best atmosphere. We made a proper. We got the train down. We played well-ish. And at the end, we got, again, the players came over, because I don't know whether it's something that we've talked about. I don't know whether the players were used to an away follow support the way we have gone and done it now. But there's one other bit on that as well, that on the train on the way down, the article about us in the songbook was published on the United website, and I remember when you went on the train as well, and there was just small things about that. There is one thing though I would like to get on record out in public, Dave Pritt. I will never forgive you for what you did on the train home. He knows what he's done.
All the way home.
All the way home. But he wasn't singing it. He wasn't singing it. He was humming it, and you and Ben were picking up on it, and you were going for it. It was 2:00 in the morning. Just let people laugh. Let people sleep.
Who cares?
I know.
Because that's what got me. The way that they all came over like that in unison. I mean, they did it in another game that I'm going to talk about for the first time, but the way they did it and I think they really, really appreciated it, because I remember speaking to Amy Turner after it. I mean, we went there not thinking anything, but then I was hearing whispers, like they were like, oh, well, if, and it was, when Molly scored, it was that if moment, if this happened. I remember there was little Alex, she dinked it a bit, and it was just like, if we had 20 minutes instead of 10, but, I think to get a 2-1 was good. At least that was, yes, and that was at 2:00. But, that was at 2:00 when I saw Deb, and I was smiling. I carried on.
It was near 3.
3:00 then, don't matter, because this is what I'm saying, guys. It's a proper away day. And I think the fact that, we were singing, we were doing all this, and, it was on top. What was I saying, Mark? Sorry, I just got distracted.
It was an away day.
Yeah.
I think that sums it up. It was a proper away day. And you and I have done away days, and that's how you do an away day. You're up early, you're home late. What happens in the game happens in the game. But there's aspects of that whole.
Said, I'm sorry we let you down. And they played Arsenal and gone to 2-1. I thought, how can you be saying this to me? How can you be saying that you've let us down? And that's when you think, this is real. I suppose, in a way. They were apologising. And I thought, how can you apologise for that? I didn't understand it. How could you apologise?
I mean, some of the girls, Dave, you know what? I nearly did forget about that. Some of the girls were in tears, and you were right. They were coming up saying, "Sorry, we've let you down." We're like, "What? You haven't?" Oh no! Brilliant.
What Mark was looking at. Yeah, I was dead ill, and then I heard singing. But that's an away day. That is an away day, guys. When you meet up with your fellow fans, if somebody comes from this or someone's late to the showing, you meet up all together and you get that energy again, and that's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, we walked through Euston. We had to walk down then to I think was it King's Cross, and then we got on the train and we were walking down Boreham Wood down to the High Street, and there was this little group of us, and we were just singing and having a good time. And for me, that's what made the day. We just went to have a good time, and we did have a good time.
Yeah, we did. No, that was the third game. That was when we were agreeing, Mark.
Yes.
We're going to disagree.
Okay.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Whoever. It's your show now. You go
first? Yeah, right. So, Deborah Henry agrees with this one. JB agrees. Matt, yep, he agrees. And Blessing agrees. So, I don't know how you can't agree, Mark, but we're not fighting. We're all friends here. This is football. City at home. For me, that was my favourite because I remember they'd beaten us, and it wasn't like they battered us. It wasn't like, we were disgraced. City was supposed to be this big bag team. 30,000 people there. We held our own. Yeah, John, you've got it. City in the Cup. It's one of his. The Conti Cup. We held our own. We'd only won 2 games. City are on an unbeaten streak, and they came up against us in the Conti. And I always remember, this is why I love it, I always remember the game before, Spurs away. It was a good game, the one at Barnet Stadium. And I said and then Katie went after that game, "Oh, you like that?" "Yeah, I like that." "Are you ready though for City?" And I said, "Listen, stick it. You need to kill or stick it on them." Then Jess, "Natalie, City." I said, "Yes, you need to stick it on, Steph. You need to just stick it on them and let them know that this City is red. It's about Man United." And this is when we're going back to it, Mark.
Yeah.
Rivalry. People don't understand what rivalry means. And there was 4,000 people there. It was a fantastic atmosphere. Lee, I've just been watching that game today. Still makes me... When Katie scored that goal, listen. And it just felt like, bang, told you to do it. You did it. And then, to be fair, people say City, but I'm not really. Apart from when they had Ellen White in the FA Cup, I've not been overly impressed with City. And for me, we're off that level. I just have to believe it more. I think, FA Cup, we showed them a bit too much respect. But I think the Conti Cup, it was right. We were in amongst them. There's tackles, like we were saying, in the middle of the park. Hayley Ladd, banging out tackles. And people were flying over her. But I thought, yes, come on. Pressure, this, that. City, man. Jess was all over Steph. She didn't let them sleep. And I think that's what you need to do when you're playing them. I think they don't like it not in a nice way, whether this is a good phrase, but I've heard it. They don't like it up them. And that's what we did. We stuck it on them and we came out, and it was an easy game for us in the end. Mark, what do you think about that game? Why potentially didn't you choose? Well, you can go on to that when you choose yours, but
yeah,
overall thoughts on that game, 2-0.
I said it at the very beginning. If you ever get the opportunity to beat City or Liverpool, you'll always take the opportunity. The reason I didn't pick it, and I wasn't impressed with City that day. I thought City were poor, and I understand the points you've made. I didn't think City offered anything, and I don't think. City probably wanted to beat it to win the Conti Cup, but the whole game itself, we were the much better team, and City are the team that you said are up there that we potentially want to get to. And obviously, we only played them a few weeks earlier at the Etihad, and in my opinion, I thought they were lucky to win that game at the Etihad, and they didn't really impress me that much at the Etihad. Their goalkeeper made a worldy save from some of our stuff. Again, it goes back to the old, if we would have been more clinical conversation. But that day, I just wasn't impressed with the. I just wasn't impressed. there was something missing from them. I think during that week, hadn't it been announced that their manager was leaving them as well, or was that in the FA Cup?
No, that was
the FA
Cup.
So,
me, Mark, I think it's. I don't know. I think it just made us believe we can beat a big team. That's what I think.
Yeah, I get your point, and we've tried to check, we've had to choose our top 5 games, and I think there's other games for me that have got slightly more significance than that City game. It's a great game, and it will be in my top 10, no question.
Oh, yeah.
But in my top 5, I've gone for games that always mean. I've always got that little bit of something meaning behind it and why you've enjoyed it. Beating City at LSV was great. Kira Walsh got sent off. I remember Debs. She was loving that.
We all were.
We all were. It was a great game. But if you had to choose my top 5, it's just out of my top 5, unfortunately.
I'll say a little one thing before I let you go on to your 4th choice. Okay. But for me, I think even in that FA Cup game, which we did lose, I mean, we'll talk, that's not, but I think it showed us beating them that day. I think shows that we can compete with them.
Yeah.
And I think it's removed a bit of the fear. I'm not saying we had a fear, but I feel like when we play Arsenal, when we play City, when we play Chelsea, we have a bit this extra respect, and we feel like, and I'm not saying that we don't, we feel like we have to play a bit of different game, like we're honoured to be on the pitch with them. Whereas I feel like that City game, the way we put it up them, let us just know, like, listen, we can beat this team. And then I think the FA Cup game, we saw elements of that kind of style, and we got joy from it. It's just, the FA Cup game, other elements came into play. We're not going to go into them, but we were on course there as well. And like you say, something was maybe missing. Ellen White, that's the difference in class, clinical.
Yeah. But when you look at that, City game, Jess was through the middle. The second goal, Jess had gone. She switched on the afterburners. I don't think anyone was going to catch her for that. And you always want to have that belief you can beat the bigger sides. And yeah, we narrowly lost to them at the Etihad. We narrowly lost to Arsenal the week after. So the belief had to be, the players had to believe they could beat City. And on that day, it was there, but I was just a little bit underwhelmed with City. That's why for me it's not in my top 5, but it is in my top 10.
Fair enough. I think all our games will probably be in each other's top 10.
Probably.
The games that you're going to say next will be in my top 10. So go on. This is the one we disagree on.
So my 4th choice is Tottenham away last season at Cheshunt. The reason I chose it, again, it was a great away end. It was a proper away day as well. It was a long day. We arrived at the ground 3.5 hours before kickoff. I mean, how eager were we to get there? We were behind the goal. The flags were going all the way around. Some of the Tottenham fans were giving us stick. We were giving it back. But the game was significant as well. Because if the belief was if we beat them, we would go up either as champions or as a promoted side. So the game itself was of significance to me. But it was everything around that game. We'd beaten Tottenham at LSV earlier in the season. I think I could be wrong in this. They might have been the first team to score against us as well at LSV.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And I think out of all the teams in the Championship, Tottenham were the ones that I think we looked at as going, they're probably the bigger right. They're the ones we've got to try and beat. And if we can get 6 points out of 6 from them, we'll do well. And yeah, for me, it was a significant game. The away end was bouncing. I mean, we had people coming over from Germany to come and watch that game with us.
Important.
It was an important game. The whole thing. I know we call it the sand pit, and it was a sand pit. But as Deb said, the league was done that day. So for me, it was a significant. Everything about it. It was the first time we had 2 minibuses. We had 2 Barmy coaches as well going. It was a really, really good day, and it was as Deborah said, the league. We'd won the league, and yeah, you can't.
Yeah, for me.
I think that most of us would say it's either just out of your top 5 or it's in your top 5 for most of the reasons.
Definitely in my top 10, definitely. Deborah has put in her top 5 anyway. JB, she said 5-1 Tottenham, so I'm guessing she means this one. But they both were 5-1, weren't they? So
yeah. I mean, the one this season at Barnet, that was a good game as well.
Yeah. Well, Deb's put that one in her top 5 as well, and I think. But for me, no. If I had to put any Tottenham game, it would be that.
Yeah.
That game would just be 6 for me. That's how high I just love that game. Like you say, everything. Or 2 buses going down. I mean, I think the only reason that I say not that game is because I remember it all building up. Obviously, Matt Johnson put that as his game. Yeah. The reason why I say not that game is just because I think we'd already won it the week before. And I think because they had slipped up. And I remember 2 or 3 weeks before that, we had played at the Olympic Legacy Park versus Sheffield, and we won 4-0.
Yeah.
I remember all last season, Tottenham either played before or after us, and this is the first time they played at the same time.
Yeah.
And I was looking, and I was like, still 0-0, and they were playing Leicester, Tottenham. I was thinking, bloody hell, we're gonna be top of the league, because I think it's because we got beat by Durham. They went above us, so I was looking at Olympic Legacy Park as we scored, and we went 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0. I was like, Spurs are still 0-0. Oh, we're gonna go above him. And I remember, come on, Leicester, hold on, and all this. And then Tottenham scored in the 96th minute. And I remember all over socials, people were replying. I think even their account was replying to United fans, going, "Yes, we won. We're top of the league now and top of the table." And I think they were lying like, we don't do draws. And I remember it because it's stuck in my mind. So that when Ebony and Jay Pennock won it for Sheffield, and we knew, and then the girls all knew, and then they all came over. And I mean, that Charlton game would be up there probably as a great game. But I just think because we had already won that Charlton game, it was still important, the Spurs game, but it just took that extra little thing off it. Hiya, Jack. Hiya, Lee. Was LJ's wonder goal top corner? I don't know which game you mean there. I think that was Leicester last year at home. But LJ always scores wonder goals. But that's probably why it puts that Spurs down. But in terms of the atmosphere, in terms of when we got there, Jess came out straight away. The Spurs players were scared, I think, because they're up, and the minute they came to walk onto that pitch, they knew this is serious.
Yeah,
the United fans are playing.
I mean, their general manager also came up to some of us, and she said, "We want our fans to kind of do what you guys have done," and that's a huge compliment. I thought the game itself. I mean, we scored from a quarter. We scored early on as well, and that was it. We were just in party mode. From that moment on, and for the reasons around everything we both said. I mean, for me, you said it'll be your 6th, and it's in my top 5. It's like, for me, the City game. It's just City's on the cusp of them all.
Yeah. Gary saying Everton away in the Conti Cup. Yeah, Gary, that's one we've touched on, and both of me and Mark agree on that one, definitely. Just with Spurs, I remember it's similar to Everton. They all come over. We were singing "Now You're Gonna Believe Us," champion, all the songs, and playing in the. It was just.
I mean, I remember Shivy after the game had finished. She was playing. She was in the goal. She was having fun with the Gaffer's kids.
Mm.
You know, it was party. The party had started at that point. So the whole everything around it was just that game for me.
I remember right at the end of the game when all the girls had gone back in, when they were getting back on the coach, and just before we left, hell, even the Gaffer's kids come up to us and they got badges, they got songbooks, they got everything. But I remember just at the end, I mean, we must have been the last people in that stadium, and we walked out, and just as we were walking out, the camera was on us like, give us some songs, do some of it, and we all started singing, and then next minute, and she walked out, the Gaffer, and she just got sung out of the place and just serenaded, and she knew what was coming. The minute she walked and probably saw us still standing there like a little crowd, she probably knew, shit, they're going to start shouting at me now. And that's what we got. And she was waving and she was blowing kisses. And it was, like you say, like Deb said, the title was confirmed that day. Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Even though it was Villa originally, we had won it at Spurs and we'll just put it to bed. I think Spurs even maybe dropped some more points after that. I don't know, but didn't look as convincing. Definitely after those few games, but they still came up. Credit to the John. This is what John just said. I'm going to go on to the last one, and I see some questions above, so hope you don't mind, Mark. Football, my favourite.
I agree with you, John, on that, actually.
My favourite game as well. That'll be number one. But hey, number five, my number five, it's going to shock a few people probably as well, and I'll shout out what other people's are after we've done this. Brighton away, FA Cup, our first ever FA Cup game, the furthest we've ever travelled. I know you didn't come, Mark, but Deb came, and it's the furthest we've ever travelled. The first time, I think it's the first, and I think the girls appreciated it. Not that they didn't appreciate anything before. God, I think they thought, bloody hell, these lot are mad. But the fact that we travelled all the way down to Brighton, you could tell because everyone came over. And I'm not saying that they never came over for Everton, a lot came over, but this time Alex came over, and I remember I saw her in the corner. I was like, Alex, and she sort of laughed and like shook my hand. And the shy ones, Toonie, that were. It took a while. Lizzie, everyone. It was just, and it was like how we sort of have it. It's less so now, but it was just a row, and they just all shook their hands, and it was amazing. And I think that LJ goal, if anyone remembers it, the way that Alex just plays it over and LJ runs it into the corner, and then this bit tops it up. Deb and jumping out of car. I can't even remember. We were sitting there, or no, I saw Martha go in, and I went, "That's Martha Harris. Let me out the car. Let me out the car. Park it up. I don't care. Let me out." I was beeping the horn of the driver, and the driver was going mental. I was like, "Get me out of this bloody car now, because I've just seen Martha Harris." And I pulled open the door, ran in, and I just went, and I just saw them all. I went, "United!" And they just all turned around and looked at me, and my mouth was open, their mouth was open. Half of them were at the Costa Coffee. They were just like, "What the freaking hell is this about?" And that's why it makes me top five. It was such everything from start to finish the day. Yeah, the match was pretty dire, to be fair, until LJ came on. But I think everything, I think they appreciated it. We appreciated it. Service station, all the pictures that we got, chatting to Hope Powell, a legend of the game who bigged us up, things like that. What do you think of this game, Mark? Obviously, I know you weren't there, but you must have seen a lot of it, heard the stories.
I wasn't there. I had some plans that I couldn't cancel. It was bizarre for me because it was up until that point I was on a run of doing all the games, so I missed it. And I was sat at home watching the Barmy Army Twitter feed coming through. And then I remembered Shiv saved a penalty. LJ scored a wonder goal. But like you said, the game itself didn't sound that great. I remember I was on my way out and you guys had stopped at the service station. And Debs and I believe it was Han were in the queue for a Subway. And I'm talking to Deborah on the phone and she's talking to someone and I'm like, who are you talking to? And she's like, oh, Jess. And I was like, who's Jess? And then she said, I've got to go. I'm going to order. I'll call you back. And she called me back. And I went, who were you talking to? She went, Jess. And I was like, who's Jess? And she went, and then she said that all the Reds were all in the same service as the team. I was like, no, you're not. And then the WhatsApp group started coming alive and all these. I was like, oh, my God. And you all came back and you were all buzzing. And the story of you all pulling up into the service station, you tell it and it just gets better every time you tell it. You know, Fran was driving and he hadn't even got into the bay and the door was open. You were jumping over people. I understand why you've picked that game. I completely get it. The game itself, I think, was a comfortable win in our favour. But I think for you and for the people that were there, you will say the service station part of it will take the significance of it.
And I think it's not just a service station; it's just the fact that the way they were with all the fans. You know, I think that's when people always talk about this picture of me and Jess, and it being an iconic picture, and it's me hugging Jess. And if anyone's ever seen my Twitter or seen my Instagram, that is the picture that's always used, if anything, when they're talking about me and fans in a way. And it was that picture from that day, and Jess even followed me when I posted it and commented on it. And then next minute, I'm running into the services, giving her a hug, and just me and Ben. I think we just couldn't control ourselves. Pictures were getting taken, and there's a picture of Tooney just RBF resting face. People say, and I think she was just like, they're taking pictures of us, and I think Alex was like, whatever, man. Like we were just in our element. I mean, now it's just normal that we see them. It's just like, are you all right?
Yeah, it's fine.
But I think at that point it was something special, and I know I can't even remember what you said your one was next, and Shiv's penalty. I just want to shout that out. That was, she hadn't saved that, we could have lost that game. And I think, she's big credit. I mean, people might say, oh, she's pregnant, she's this and that, underrate her and this and that, and say it's just championship. She got us out of messes a lot last year and did what the keeper's supposed to do. And, you can't, got to rate her for coming and joining us and helping us through this. And, hopefully when it's all back, she'll be back as well.
Hopefully.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go on, what's your fifth?
So my fifth is kind of a controversial one in a way. My fifth one is lose at home, last game of the season.
No. I just want to add, Matt Johnson agrees with you, and I think there's probably some others that agree with you. I don't think, no, but yeah, Matt Johnson's put it, but sure there's others that will say it.
Yeah, so the reason I chose it was it culminated. The game itself was I think where we stand at LSV, we had, was it the Lose managing people behind us, and they were telling us to sing songs for their players, and we gave it a bit. We were asked to. We were asked to sing songs that bit. I think it was the perfect. The game itself was a nothing. It meant the game was everything. But for me, the reason I've chosen it in my top 5 was it was the culmination of a perfect season of football. to see a team that was only started less than a year before pick up the championship trophy, to score as many goals as we did in the league, to not concede, only a handful of goals in the league. It's up there because in the context of that game, you put it into the context of the whole season. And not to sound too obnoxious, I've been to see Champions League finals, I've been to Europa League finals, I've been to FA Cup finals. We've seen that team that had been in existence for less than a year going to win a league the way they won it and lift that trophy. It is up there in my moments as a Manchester United fan for absolute reasons. So lose for me. The game itself was pretty academic, but you look at that game, you look into the context of the rest of the season. I mean, some of the goals. I mean, Amy Palmer's goal that day. I mean, obviously you loved that. Amy Turner's goal, the last goal of the season. She was, people are saying she was miles offside. I didn't care, but that game as well. Dave's. I mean, every time you put Dave's profile picture up, it's him holding the trophy. We were down at pitch side. We were holding the trophy. We were invited down, and for me, that's why it's in there, because I'm going to have that memory of us at pitch side, us holding the trophy, us with the players. It's just for those reasons.
Yeah, listen, lose would probably be 7 for me. Maybe even 6, maybe even pushing that Spurs game. But for me, it's the whole day as well. Again, I think it was a proper title winning day. Started dead early.
Yeah, kickoff was at 5:30, was it?
Yeah, something like that. But we started off dead early.
We were at the Ren at 11 o'clock. So, we made a proper day of it. We were out. It was a beautiful day. Shorts were on, sunglasses. It was party time. And as the team arrived, we applauded them in. We gave them a guard of honour. That's the reasons why for me.
And even Mike Keegan, he was there. Alan, not Mike. Alan. He was there. He came in the stand. He went round all fans asking them, this and that. And I think John, one of the guys, he said, I sent Alan over to you. And Alan took the mic and asked me what I thought. And, everyone was singing Barmy Army. And then I was singing These Guys, and everyone cheered. And then we ended up singing Casey's at the Wheel. I started singing that. And as I started singing it, all the girls came and were drinking the water bottle. I was just looking over and I was jumping and enjoying it because everyone was jumping and singing it. And then next minute I just looked over and I'm like, wow, they're all just watching. So that was up there. And obviously I think the game was quite good. I remember LJ scoring some good goals. Like you say, Palmer scored. She had built up from that Sheffield game. I think she'd had time. And I think we were looking at, the makings of a quality player. I think we've seen a lot of that this season. And you see in Sheffield scoring from outside the box, bang, rockets. That's what Palmer does. And I think she got the biggest cheer when she scored that goal, because I think it was like, yes, it's a United girl. We waited for this. And then obviously I remember after Palmer scored, it was like, boom, yes, but come on, Amy scored. She just put in the net and got the ball, and it was like, we want 5, we want 5, we want 4, we want 3.
Yeah.
And Kate was driving them. Alex was driving them. Yeah. Come on. It was pushing.
There was no sitting on the morals. They wanted to score the 100 goals. They wanted to do it. And like you said, as soon as we scored one in the second half, the closer we were getting, they were running into the net. They were picking up the ball. They were planting it back on the spot. They wanted to get the game. They wanted to get the 100 goal. And we just fell short. But, it's there for me for those reasons.
Yeah. 97 goals is good enough. Don't worry.
Yeah. I would have loved it to get the 100 goal.
I was really starting to get, when I saw Casey going, come on, I thought, right, this is serious then. Is that what you're saying? And you know, we definitely like spurred them on, and you know, even they talk about where we were like, we were fine, we were counting them down. They could, I mean, Casey has said it. These fans wanted 100 goals, and I thought, yeah, we did, but only because you did.
Yeah.
I was happy no matter what happened. We were 1-0. Who cares? Because the minute they came back out and that trophy and just going around the whole pitch, and you know, I've seen a little video. Sarah's got it, and they're holding it, taking pictures, and we're singing their song. And you know, when they were having their interviews on the side of the pitch, we were singing their songs. Just come round, everyone getting hugs. And like you say, dishing out the interviews.
Yeah, we were still at the ground for three hours after the final whistle.
Yeah.
We were there because it was such a good time. You know, we waited, and then players came out of LSV. They came and some of them stood with us. We had a bit of a chat. We had photographs. We presented players with awards, and it was all of that. It was just the whole day for me.
I remember I was there when Millie came out and got a picture of her flag, and then I think after that I got off, and then I went to a place and saw them again. Went to a pub and they were there. I was like, what the hell? But they were just, I loved it. Everyone was party, and
and the
Listen is up there as well.
Yeah, the following day they were at Old Trafford. They came out at Old Trafford before the last game of the home game of the season, and where I sit at Old Trafford, a lot of people knew I was going to the women's games, and this team came out with a trophy, and the ovation the team got that day is I remember it. I mean, I remember people around me going, "We've never seen them play, but well done," you know, and all of that, and yeah.
So Dave's told us his 5 as well. Arsenal, that's one that we agree on. Charlton, that's another one that would be in my top 10. Lose. Spurs away, I'm guessing he means ours. He's at home. Interesting. I don't think it was a good game, a good atmosphere, but I don't think that would get into top, pushing it there. And Deborah Henry has said Everton away last season, we agree. Spurs away this and last season. This one, I'm a bit like that on. I don't know, Mark. It was a good one, but would it get into my top 10? I don't think so.
It might just scrape in at number 10 for me.
Conte, City that I said, and she said Liverpool that we both said. JB has said Liverpool, City, the cup, the ones that we won at LSV. She said, and this probably would get into a lot of people's, the very, very first one, the Liverpool 1-0 one, which, you know, probably I'd have to put that in, that would get in a top 10. Even though I wasn't there, you know, you still got to show respect to that game. And, you know, I didn't even watch it, but, you know, that was it. That was the first ever game. And you just got to put your hands up to that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's also gone Birmingham 3-1. That was a good game. It won't get in my top 10, but it was a good game. And then she said Tottenham as well. And Matt Johnson, he said everyone we've sort of said lose, Tottenham, Liverpool, City, Everton. And Blessings has added, he said the ones that we've said, Liverpool, Everton, City, but he's adding Brighton 4-0. That was a good game. That was probably our best game in the WSL.
Yeah.
That was a really good game. And he said Leicester 11-1. That is a fantastic game as well. And there's a chance that probably would or wouldn't. Depends.
Leicester was a great game, but you take it into the context of to score 11 goals, you look at it as going, oh, that was a really great game, or God, they were poor. I mean, we made changes that night as well. I mean,
I know there's some questions, and I do want to just answer them quickly. Like, I hope you don't mind, Mark.
No.
Heather said at the start, I'm going back up to it. When it's safe to do so, apart from getting more fans to go to the game, what would we change in women's football? Let me put it up. What would you change, Mark?
I think,
I know what I would.
Yeah, we might agree on this one. We might not. I think there needs to be and it's controversial. I think we need to have. I think football, and we said it very early on, and I think most of the people who watch this would understand where I'm coming from. In football, you need one thing you need rivalries. And I think if you haven't got that rivalry, sometimes the games aren't exactly going to bring the people in. So, as we said very early on, the Liverpool game, it's historically with that bitter rivalry we've got with Liverpool. I think in women's football, and I'm pretty sure some female pundits have said, we need to get women's football to the next level. We need rivalries. And I tend to agree. The other thing I would try and change in it is designated away ends for away fans to be with their own, because we've been to grounds where we've sat or we've stood next to Spurs fans or wherever. I think those things kind of need to happen to grow the game.
For me, on this question, it would be the same. It would be rivalry. You're always going to see an increase in, say, a Man United City, Man United Liverpool. But I think what will help in what you're saying is designated away sections will help boost atmosphere. And I think that's what it needs. That's what I want to see. I want to see more atmosphere. I don't want to. I mean, it's great. The Liverpool game was great, the atmosphere, but I want to see that game all the time. And I think what helped us as well, Mark, and we sort of talked about it when we were the Everton game just gone at Southport. It was all Reds in that terrace, and I think that helped boost the atmosphere. And I think when we were at Kings Meadow, I know you and Deb weren't there, but it was that mix, and it was still a good atmosphere. But I think when it's just you, and I think potentially if all the Reds had been behind that one goal, it would have been even better.
Yeah.
Because I think people say, oh, there wasn't enough Reds. There would have been enough Reds in that stadium. If you pulled them from everywhere and just put them all behind that one goal, or even if you'd put us behind the other goal, which was a bit smaller, it would have been better. That's why, in a way, I think that's what they were going to do at Liverpool, and it would have been. And when United put that tweet out and Molly Hudson replied and said, this is what we want to see, and people were like, oh, well, this wasn't needed before United. And okay, yeah, it wasn't needed before, but that wasn't done because of anything. That was done because it's the right way to go. I mean, I've sat down with the club and said, this is what we want. It's simpler. It's easy. It's, when we were at the Etihad, you sold tickets. It was this, and they agree. They think, they'd rather sell away tickets. It's easier for them to get data and for them to know who their actual fans are, rather than Liverpool selling tickets. And no one wants, if you're United fan, you don't want an email from Liverpool. And these are complaints that we hear regularly. I went to one game, and now I'm getting sent all this stuff from Birmingham, and I'm not a Birmingham fan. I just went to see United, and I think people say this wasn't needed, and this wasn't this, and this wasn't that. Listen, it's not about what's needed; it's about growing the game. And I think the more people, the better the atmosphere, the better. Product on the pitch is important, but if you're playing a fantastic game and it's silent all around, no one wants that.
I mean, coming from the men's aspects of this, the only thing I've ever known is the home fans sit with home fans, the away fans go to the away fans. Yeah, every now and again you'll find an away fan who finds his way into the home end, and I have no issue with that. But the rivalry is already there. I know people within the Barmy Army WhatsApp group. I know I know this was always a disagreement that we go there as friends. We don't need the rivalry. I've always looked at it as that you need the rivalry because the product needs to grow, and for it to grow, you need the needle between the there's already a needle there between City and United. Yeah, there's already a needle between United and Liverpool. But you need those aspects of it to help grow the product, and you can be best friends with whoever. Gary and Phil, one played for United, one played for Everton. the rivalry with Everton isn't as big as United Liverpool. But Gary and Phil, if you ever watched when we played, as both as captains, they never shook hands because they knew that they had to get themselves across to do the best for their team. And that's what you want. You want the rivalry first, and then the product will grow around it.
The product's there on the pitch. I just think, have atmosphere. Have a game like, for example, Tom Gary said, the game that he'd never seen, and Casey asked for it, and she got it. And that Arsenal game Monday night at home was absolutely electric. And it wasn't about rivalry then. It wasn't about Liverpool or thing. It's just about beating Arsenal. yeah. And that's what it was. And I think there was lots of little Arsenal fans spread out. It would have been better for them to have all been in one place.
Yeah. And I think LSV, the kind of, after the City Conti game, they realised they made an error. And then they said for the next game, there's going to be an away end. And when we played them in the cup, there was that, they had that corner to themselves. And they created a bit of noise, and we created our noise. And it was there, it was building for the FA Cup game.
And that's what it needed. But we still saw all the City fans before, we still saw them after, we still, this and that, just because it's just better for me. It's better if you just, that little line. And I'm not saying like it has to be a full line or this, but I just think if everyone is sitting together, because Arsenal, I can remember hearing Arsenal fans sitting there, and I remember Arsenal fans in there, and I just thought, why aren't you all together? But hey, what do we know, Mark? We've only just started watching in 2008. They were singing songs in 2015. I didn't hear them, right?
No, I know.
Heather's also lost. Another one. Next place. It says it there. I'll go first. Jill Ellis. You?
Same. Jill Ellis. She's got the qualification.
Yeah. And I know Jack's always tweeting me and saying things, and he said, this is harder, Jack, because we don't know the names, but what I'd have even Navarro from Levante. Levante's a top 3 side. She's about 20 years old, I think, and scoring goals, hot prospect, striker. Ona Battle, who is a right back, playing for Spain, first team, played in the She Believes. Very good. Spanish as well. Third one, not bothered. Whoever. But there's 2 names for you. Go and explore. Mark, have you got a name? Any names?
I think the name that's being branded around a lot for us this. Well,
don't say it, Mark.
I'm not going to say it harder because she's not coming. Is Lucy Bronze.
Oh, Lucy Bronze. Oh, well, yeah, that's not happening.
No, she's the one, I think, but we need fullbacks. I think we need a fullback. Anything else? But no.
What I'll say, Mark, is I think we need a striker more than a fullback.
Yeah, we need someone. I agree. But you and I, we go to the devs, and maybe Casey's looking at bringing some of them through.
Hopefully, I think I want to see Palmer as well. I see on Twitter people mentioning midfield, and I'm like, we don't even need a midfielder. We'll have to see, but let's see. I think that's it, Mark. I think we've been going for a while. Hour 20. It's I appreciate everyone tuning in. God knows what I'm going to do next week. I'm hoping even to talk about rivalry a bit more, but we'll see. God, we're wearing thin, isn't it? But I might do top 5 goals. Maybe I have to do top 10. But that's a little thing.
Top 5
goals.
We're
not going to do it, Mark. We're not going to do it tonight. But yeah, thanks a lot for coming on and chatting for
no problem.
Everyone can talk to the Army. We're on Sunday still.
Yeah.
Sunday social. So just jump in the DMs of the Barmy Army, get on it. It's a Skype. We just sit on it for hours, just talking to each other.
Yeah.
At a time like this, we need to talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there anything you want to add, Mark, or?
No, just, thanks for having me on that.
Clear your throat. Thanks a lot, guys. See you later.
See you later.